Hey guys, Asher commands you today in Watcher of Realms. Welcome to the video, guys. What could be better? Me, you here talking Watcher of Realms together. Isn't that cool? Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need it out there today. Listen, offhand comment in a video, I don't know, 3 or 4 videos ago here on the channel, I said, it's been about 6 months since I did the initial top 10 in each class, you know, hero ranking videos or whatever. And a lot of you guys in the comments were like, yeah, bring it back. It's been a long time, at least in terms of the overall longevity of the game. So guess what? You're going to get an updated list, and we're going to start with defenders because I love a good defender. Who doesn't love a good defender in this game? The cool thing is, honestly, this is the easiest to start with too, because I feel like, you know, maybe healers will be easy too. Maybe I'll do healers next. But when you get to mages and marksmen and fighters, I feel like there's so many now, especially added in the last few months to this game. It's going to be really hard. Honestly, this list was really hard, but I'm hemming and hawing. Let's go ahead and get to the point, Ash. Get to the point. Let's go ahead and go to the defenders, right? And start with number 10. Number 10 on the list is going to be, might be a shocker to you guys. I put a little bit of relevance in their lord skills, in lords, right? But I don't want to weigh, you know, these defenders just on their lord skills alone, you know, like meaning that lords are at the top no matter what. I'm trying to take into consideration their entire overall viability, their versatility, their power, what they do, right? King Hars, I think he's a competent defender. I've been playing him for a while now, right? Competent defender. He's not bad. He's not great, I don't think, personally, you know? I think he's your average old defender. But then when you add on his lord ability, then you're talking. And I feel weird on all these rankings. I would love your opinions too. I feel weird putting a lord who you might not even be using in a lot of battles, just for in the actual battle, high on the list just because of their lord skill. I don't know. It's tough to rank. I think 10 is a good spot for King Hars. He's a northerner. He's a lord. I will say that if we go to the North Throne here, boy, oh boy, Elder, the fighter, came along, and this dude definitely overshadows him. Now, he's a fighter, but he's a pretty tanky fighter as well, and he's just really a lot better for a legendary lord. Now, I don't want to take anything away from poor King Hars too. I like King Hars. As I said, a pretty solid defender. We won't talk all day about him. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. But that lord skill, you guys are probably familiar with it, but it gives everybody, not just faction allies, but everybody, a periodic shield on the battlefield. That can be extremely helpful. He also has a talent where he can add freeze, so he has a little control, a 4-second freeze at that, a little control in his kit as well. So I like King Hars. So coming in at number 9, guys, is going to be none other than an epic lord, actually. It's Isodel's a really, really cool defender. Now, compared to the reason she's not higher up on the list, because I'm sure a lot of you guys love her and use her like everywhere, right? She is your Jack or your Jill of all trades, right? Very, very competent, great defender. You know, she gets the job done. Her cost is not exorbitant. She's like decent. She gains 6% defense for each time an enemy is blocked. That's stacking up to 5 times, so she gets more powerful. The thing about her, though, is that her base stats don't scale that well into the end game. You know, talking like, you know, the higher stages of Void Rift. You know, that's the only knock on her, and that's why she's number 9, but she's still incredibly good. One of the 3 or 4 epics on our list today. There's a lot of good epic defenders out there. She has AoE damage to all blocked enemies, on her passive. We already talked about her power-up effect. The cool thing is on Shield Wall, she increases her block for every ally in range. So it's a really good, I mean, she's one of the better blockers out there inside the entire game, right? She also applies physical and magic damage reduction. So she's also a debuffer. She grants a shield, 30% of max HP to herself and adjacent allies in a horizontal line. It can also be increased. So now she's shielding and supporting other allies. And she's got a lord skill as well. So, I mean, man, she's, even after reading her kit, I'm like, yeah, she is pretty good. Just a victim of the scalability of her stats ultimately. But again, I mean, you can use her in early game, mid game, and even up until like the early, late game, even beyond in faction trials and areas like that. Very, very good defender. Coming in at number 9 on our list, guys, is going to be none other than Gon. That's right, the defender from the Chaotic faction. Chaotic faction is very interesting. I do not have Gon. He's an arena. He's very interesting. I hear he's good. I see he's good. I've watched a lot of guides in preparation for today's video because I don't want to talk about heroes without any knowledge of what they can do in battle. His damage scales off of defense, like kind of like an Azor, I guess, but he's way better than Azor. No offense, Azor fans out there.
So alone. So alone.
He's just like every chaotic unit. they're quite a bit different. You know, this guy can deal some damage, it deals some AoE. He also has increased block by 3 and grants physical damage reduction by 30%, magic by 30%. I'm covering it up, but that's really, really great. Ultimate on Battlecry, great debuffs and great block as well on this dude. So, you know, he also has the taking damage with 50% chance to attack up to 10 enemies ahead, dealing 300% AoE damage. So this guy, compared to all the other defenders out there in the game that we talk about today, one of the best damage dealers, right, in terms of defenders out there, with a high block too. A very unorthodox kit, but that seems to fit the chaotic faction in my opinion. What about you guys? Coming in at number 7 is a dude that I didn't even have on the list last time. Oh, come on, Ash. Come on, Regulus. I talked about him a lot, guys, honestly, so I won't overdo it here, but I was building him wrong, man. We need a lot of attack speed so we can go into the deal 1 damage, increase his defense on his on his basic, excuse me, but he has the periodic rage regeneration as well, right? So the more we're using this, we're regenerating rage, and the reason I mention all that is because we want a lot of rage regen on this dude for morale. Morale is an incredibly unique defender ability where he's mitigating damage on surrounding allies, right? So very, very powerful, very unique, specifically in areas like Guild Raid or Gear Raid too. For the most part, I am looking for a defender with a shield or unkillable or both, right? Because this game, I feel like some mechanic to keep them alive longer because they're a defender at the end of the day. And Regulus has that, and he has a lot more to his kit too. You could argue maybe he's even being snubbed. I'm actually really, really high on the Lion. He looks freaking cool too. I want to give a quick honorable mention to Captain Reeve. I don't have Captain Reeve, but he's great control. He's kind of a weird defender. He's rather niche for my liking, but honorable mention there. Coming in number 6 is going to be Cyrus, another Lord here, Esotericist Lord. He has his Lord ability is when an ally is defeated or retreats, increase the damage of other faction allies by 25% for 8 seconds. Can be triggered 1 time every 12 seconds, obviously reducing faction allies skill costs as well. So you got that. You get that range. Cyrus is super, super cool. He's very expensive, does hold him down a little bit, but he's a summoner. He immediately summons a skeleton warrior within 2 tiles ahead when he's deployed. That's super cool, man. I wish I had a summoner on my account. I don't think I do. I love summoners, man, except for that artifact. That's the only thing I got going in terms of summoning. He has AoE damage on his A1, nice, right? He's summoning a skeleton fighter on his Legion of the Dead as well. You can see the little fella up there on the screen above my head. Within 2 tiles ahead, increases their in this hero's damage by 100%, attack speed by 60 for 10 seconds. 40% of incoming damage will be absorbed by the hero's summons. And when this hero receives a fatal damage, one of the summons will be sacrificed to resist that damage. So he has that built-in resist as well. Man, really cool to have the range, to have the summons, to have the shared damage, to have a little bit of damage, to have AoE. Cyrus is a very interesting magic defender. I really want this dude. He looks so badass too, man. From what I hear, people love this guy. Look at the reviews on him, dude. I mean, golly, that's nuts. That's nuts. It says something about the top 5 because number 5 on our list is going to be Torador. I think I had Torador number 2 on my last tier list rankings. And it's not like he's fallen off or anything like that. I've just fallen more in love with the 4 that we're going to name after him. He is a Nightmare Lord, very strong Lord at that. He does not have a shield. He does not have a unkillable, but he does have a self-revive. He's kind of like a reliable to me. He's like a good old reliable. He can deal some damage. He has really good base stats, if I remember correctly. Okay, maybe a little bit more HP would be nice, to be honest with you guys, but he does have the self-revive. What do you want, right? His defense skills all right as well. 45-13 attack. He can deal a little bit of damage for a tank, which is nice, and he has some control built into his kit as well. He improves his attack speed, attacks multiple enemies within range, and he has that nice range, that extra tile range, which you don't get from a lot of defenders as well. So he's a good old reliable in Lord at that too, and a Nightmare Lord. We all have Wrath, so, you know, I would say Nightmare Lords are not in as big of a demand. Obviously he has the more powerful Lord ability, but yeah, Torador is he's just great. He's just great. All right, coming in at number 4 on the list is actually going to be Baron, another Nightmare, non-Lord, non-legendary. I love Baron, man. I mean, I'm gonna keep it super simple for you guys, right? He can put out a sneaky amount of damage for a defender, right? But he has both of those things that I love in tanks, and that describes why, or that explains why I have him. And that is unyielding, aka unkillable, and a shield, right? So he's got a shield, a big shield, and unkillable. That's a tank.
That's everything you asked for. Yes?
That's a tank, baby. I use Baron a lot, and he's a lot less expensive than some of the other lower legendary defenders we've been talking about. I take that into consideration as well. I use Baron a lot more in Nightmare Void Rift. I use Baron a lot more than I do some of the legendaries, you know? He just has those two dynamics that I really, really appreciate in a defender. So I ranked him where I actually really, truly value him on my account. Coming in at number 3 on the list is going to be a newcomer to the list. She was not in the game previously when I made my first defender list, and it's Constance. This might surprise some of you guys. It might not be a surprise to some of you guys at all. Constance is very good. She's also very unique compared to a lot of the other defenders that we talked about in today's video, right? It says it right here. She's heals in buffs. When being healed, the hero restores 3% rage. This effect can be triggered one time every 2 seconds. It's a great talent with rage regen. We have attack-based healing to one ally in range. When this hero blocks enemies, she stops healing and she strikes one blocked enemy, dealing damage. So as a non-blocker, she's going to be healing for you as a defender. She also grants inspiration, 45% when skilled up. That's right, inspiration, the same thing as Dolores. She has it as a defender. I don't think her inspiration is all around as good, is not the right word, as a Dolores, because Dolores, I mean, she's a platform unit, right? But now we have an option who's a ground unit who has inspiration, and it just makes her incredibly powerful, especially against codex bosses and really just pretty much anywhere, you know, getting more damage out of your fighters specifically, right? Although she can extend her range to platform units as well. Really cool having the inspiration and the healing and everything else that she brings to the table. She increases her healing on this ability, receiving damage, heals the hero with 100% healing multiplier, receiving AoE damage, additionally heals all allies in basic range with a 40% healing multiplier. So the Faithful Renewal is really great as well, and she has reduced costs inside the arena. So that is Constance, man. She's a very interesting defender. I will say the only challenge with her is building her, you know, she's attack-based heals, and she has inspiration, which scales off of obviously her attack, and she's also a defender. So if you're trying to have her defend, block, it can be challenging to build her tanky enough to do so when you need to build in enough attack as well. That's why a lot of people run her not as a main blocker, but as a defender buffer, you know? Number 2 on the list is gonna be Olog's Wall. It's Olog, guys. Oh man, you can make a strong, I think you can, maybe not a strong case, but you can make a case that he's number 1 defender in the game. This big fella, where do you get him, at level 30 or something like that? Void Rift, or when you open that up, 35? Either way, everybody gets him, and I remember somebody right when I started this game, they're like, oh, you'll get Olog eventually, and he's just like, he's so good, it's just stupid, he's cheesy, he needs a nerf. And I never want to hear those words, and I never want to say those words ever again. I don't think Olog is cheesy at all, and I don't think he needs a nerf, certainly. But he's just got the best shield in the game. I mean, he's got so much self-sustain, it's criminal. I love him. I love him so much because he's so basic. He's just this dude who sits there and sucks up tons of damage. And that's what a defender is. That's the essence of a defender in this game. That's why I love Olog. Nothing cheesy about him at all. Number 1 on our list, the number 1 defender in the game, is gonna be Brohere. Now, here's the thing about Brohere. I made this whole point when I talked about why I wasn't summoning under the Brohere banner, right? Is there's not a massive gap with defenders, in my opinion, you know? I think that Brohere is number 1. But there's even some that I didn't mention in today's video that you could easily make the case. There's even some, you know, epics who I think are, we'll talk about Brohere in a second, but like, I made a whole video on Aveline. I think she's really good, really cool, right? High block control. You know, Muriel's not bad either, right? So like, there's a lot of really competent defenders in this game. It's one area that I would assume no one has massive issues on finding good defenders, which is really cool. But Brohere to me takes the cake as number 1. He has the 2 things that we talk about, right? He has unkillable ability to mitigate damage. When receiving fatal damage for the first time, this hero gains freeze. He becomes immune to all damage for 8 seconds. So he has that damage immunity. He also has a shield. He also reduces adjacent allies' damage taken by 10%. If this hero is inflicted with freeze, the reduced damage is increased by 30%. So damage mitigation on adjacent allies is really, really strong. He gains freeze and a shield equal to 80% of his max HP after the effect of freeze disappears on the frost armor. This dude's tough to kill. He's a good CC with all that freeze, and he's got the unkillable. He's the full package, and a 19 cost is very reasonable for everything that he brings to the table as well. Guys, that's my list. Brohere number 1, Olof number 2, Constance number 3, Baron number 4, number 5 Toreador, 6 Cyrus, 7 Regulus, 8 Gon, 9 Isol, and 10 King Hars. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know which class you want to see ranked next here on the channel, guys. I'm thinking healer, but I could be swayed in another direction. Let me know, and as always, take care, guys.